Welcome to a place where we celebrate indie art, indie culture, and the people that color our world with their gifts. My name is Qamil. I'm your host, and this is the So Dope Show. Welcome to the So Dope Show. I'm your host, Qamil, and today I have a very, very, very special guest that I have known since he was practically a kid. But he is a grown man now and he's doing amazing things. So I would like to welcome Jawan M. Jackson to the So Dope Show. Yay!
Yeah, hey, what's up? What's up, Q?
Hi, I'm so excited. Like I said, I've known you for a long time.
You have. I was with 19. I'm
That's
35 now.
crazy. Shout out to Q, my
Crazy.
sister Felicia. That is how we met along the way,
Mhm.
like in her group of young, talented friends, and that became family
Yeah,
the way. So I've been watching your journey for from afar, from a very long time, and I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
So proud of you. Congratulations on your baby boy.
Thank you.
So let's talk about that first. How is fatherhood?
Fatherhood is ghetto. It is ghetto. None of y'all set me up correctly. I'm gonna start there. It's real ghetto over here.
Oh,
Sleepless nights. I look crazy some days. I need to get a haircut. I got on a bandana. Can't do
man.
nothing. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, I'm having the best time ever. Just watching, something that you created start off so small and then
Yeah.
grow into a personality and, you know, him seeing like the changes every day. And like I've been on tour back and forth, so I've been in and out the house. And so every time I come back home, I feel like I meet a new person.
Yeah. They
So
do.
that,
Mhm.
that's been like the greatest part. And just like watching him grow up and like, you know, I I knew love
Yeah.
before, but like a love like that is different. It hit different.
It is the parents' love. Like you think that you have loved people along the way, and we
Mm-mm.
have, but to watch literally a human like you, I made this.
Yeah.
Wow, yes, it's ghetto, and I got like you really want me. They give it to you, like you take the baby
Uh-huh.
home, and you're like, like I
Yeah,
just
because
yeah, go
I
ahead.
also had a head start because I have my two godsons that I
Mhm.
raised since birth. So they're 18 and 17 now.
It's crazy.
So, it's like, okay, cool, but then to start all the way over.
Yeah.
Because I was like, y'all been my birth control because y'all been in my pockets and for so long. And so now to actually be like, okay, I've raised y'all, go ahead. Now it's, I'm gonna have my own. It's
Yeah.
been very interesting. Um,
Yeah.
but I love it. I love it all.
I'm on my third and final, and
Come on,
each
I
one,
want two more
ooh, bless your heart,
at
you
least.
you can do
But this one is making me change my mind. I said I wanted two
it.
more.
if once you have the second one, if it depends on if you guys decide to space it out or not. Mine's are like
Mhm.
15. I mean, it's 15, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And then my son's 5, and now I have a 4-month old. So the space is
Oh yeah,
there,
the space is there.
but I'm not sure if it's good or bad.
Yeah, I want two, like at least 2 years, because anything past two, we ain't having no more. Because I'm
uh-huh.
not like, so get me while I'm fresh. It's still fresh on me. Because otherwise, no, I'm good.
We're gonna I'm gonna be watching that part of your story unfold because
Exactly. I'm like,
plans.
well, I done broke down, y'all.
We can make the plans. I most certainly was not. I was like, I'm good. Like she can make sandwiches. She can do all these things, and I started all over. So you just never
That's what
know.
I'm saying.
You
Like
know.
I was in my last year of high school, and here comes this one. I was like, what was I thinking?
Well, here you are in fatherhood, amazing journey. You just starting with your baby boy, so
Mhm.
you're gonna grow together, learn together, have all kinds
Yeah.
of fun and adventures, and he gonna be on flights.
Oh, he
He
already been flying. That's
even flies. He
he's
out
been
here.
flying since 2.5 months.
That's
His
and what
first
an
flight was to
amazing
LA.
life. If you get to expose him to so many things that you wouldn't have maybe been able to do 5, 10 years
Hmm.
ago. But
Exactly.
now he's gonna get to see the world.
It's crazy, like seeing the world. But also the thing is that I wasn't used to, and even raising like the two I have
Mhm.
nannies. I ain't never had to get no nanny, no anything. So now I have to get nannies. Now I have to interview folks, and then I had a nanny. She quit. And it's like, it's
Oh,
just finding the babysitters in New York City because my base is
mhm.
Detroit.
Yeah.
So like I created a family out here in New York, but like they're not family like mama, daddy, grandma, and
Yeah.
them, where you can just drop the baby off and don't have to worry about it. Now I have to like consider people's schedules.
You
Like,
do.
hey friend, I got this audition or I got this thing. Can you watch my son for a few hours while I go run here? So it's a lot of like negotiating
Yeah.
who gonna keep the baby, who gonna stay home.
Yep.
My girlfriend and I, we both are entertainers. And so like
Mhm. Yeah.
she's has a gig and she's like, okay, well, who's gonna be at home with the baby? I'm like, okay, well, I'm off the month. I can stay home. Like it's a whole negotiation
I
checkers
understand
thing.
completely. My boyfriend is also an artist. So it's like, okay, I got to do this show. And then he's like, well, I got to go DJ this thing. And we're like,
Rock, paper,
so,
scissors. Who
so
making the most money today? All right.
yeah,
That's the
and
first
who's making the
thing.
most money today and who's going to be in front of the most people and
Exactly.
figure it out. It is completely different than two people working like a 9 to 5. And
Yeah.
our schedules are so different
Yeah.
than the average person. So completely get that. And mom's an
Yeah.
entertainer too. It's going to
Yeah.
be a ride. So yes, you do need
Yeah.
nannies.
It's crazy. I just never thought I would need that. I was like, boy, I look at him like, boy, you don't even know how lucky you got it. I was like, we used to just have to like rough it out and figure it out. Now you talk about nannies and after
Nanny.
school programs and this. And I'm like, I gotta pay for all that. All right, God, I
The
thank you.
schools and all of that stuff very soon.
Yeah. And then New York is all like private, like
Mhm.
education, what
Yeah.
I'm saying, which is completely different. And like he's gonna be being grown up out here is exposed to so much already. I always say like having a child in New York City is kind of like having a baby elephant. Once it come out, it hits the ground running. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to grow up so fast. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's a child, but I'm trying to like cultivate that so he keeps that innocence because I don't want him to have to be exposed to so much. So I kind of like want to,
Yeah.
hold on to him a little bit tighter.
It's
Um,
harder to keep kids innocent for long now anyway with their access
yeah,
to so
absolutely.
much. But to have access and to be the child of an entertainer and you're in New York and
Yeah,
wherever else you go around the world,
yeah,
it's just something you just have
yeah.
to be
It's inevitable. I'm
diligent
not gonna be
about,
able to protect, and that's
Yeah.
another thing. The protection factor. I was very protective, but now I get like my chest swell up.
Yeah.
Like, don't bump into the stroller. Don't walk in
Yeah.
front of me. Don't.
Listen, has
It's
somebody tried to touch me at like in public? I was at Walmart and this lady's like, "Oh, can I like reached in?"
not reached in.
She reached and I looked at her like, "I'll murder you in
Yeah,
this
it's like
store."
don't do
She snatched her
that.
handbag. I'm like, "Who does that?" I'm like,
Yeah, I'm like no COVID.
yes,
Back up,
I
monkeypox. Get
know you.
away.
Why would you do that? And apparently that is a common thing. So the protection mode is real.
Oh,
I've got
absolutely.
godchildren, nieces, and nephews, and you're protective over them. But for one that like, like, wait a minute, this is a whole
Absolutely.
different level of Papa
Yeah.
Bear, Mama Bear.
I was
For
like, oh, this is what people say. I would go to jail. I would go to jail over you. I feel
yeah,
that
yeah,
instinctual like
yeah,
protection that I never thought I would feel, which is very interesting. So I'll always have to self-check that when I'm out or something happens. And
yeah.
like, Jawan, are you overreacting or is this what it's called for?
It doesn't really change.
Yeah.
Like, they just get older, and you kind of learn how to hopefully learn. Some parents
Manage,
don't
yeah.
know how to self manage at all, and they're just like, the ones in the principal's office. Not my
Hmm.
kid. You
Yeah.
learn your kid, and
Oh, I'm not gonna do that because I can see him finessing his mama and me already. Like he'll cry and like do all the things his mama did with me. I'm like,
uh-huh.
wrong parent.
Yeah,
We ain't
they
having that,
are.
bro.
These babies are different. So
Yeah.
they figure it out real soon. So let's go back because everybody
Okay.
that's watching, I want them to really know how we came from point A from point B.
Yeah.
So if you can, just give them a little bit, because again, I'm going to give them more. But in your
Hmm.
words, at the beginning of your journey as an entertainer, how did you even decide? I want to be an actor. I might want to sing. I want to whatever. When did that happen?
You know what? I think it kind of just it happened organically. Like I always knew that like the arts and like music and just like all those things was in me innately, because as a child I grew up singing in church and doing all the things, and my parents kept me very active in like entertainment. So I was always in everything. I wanted to be a chef at one point. Then I wanted to be a marine biologist. And so I never even considered like arts and entertainment as a career, you know,
Yeah.
let alone making a living out of it, because I didn't know anybody that was successfully doing it.
Yeah.
And so it started at Eastern Michigan University. I was, in college, and I went away and did a college program with Disney. And I stayed there for a year working. And while I was there, I wanted to, like I said, be a marine biologist. And so I was like going, volunteering. And then when that turned out and I got into like my potential field, I was like, yeah, no, that's not for me. It's not for me. So I got back to college that next semester and I was like, okay, what do you want to do? Because this whole 3-year journey, I was gearing up for marine biology, biochemistry, and so I'm like, okay, now you got 2 years, a year and a half to figure out what you're gonna do. Because I didn't want to graduate in 8 years. I was like, I was on the track, like, let me do a 4-year program at college and not be a permanent, how some people are a permanent college student. I was like, no, I am not. I'm gonna pride myself in making this out in 4 years. I did it in 5 because I took a practice year off. I mean, a year off. But so I got into college and I was just like, let me just take some electives. And I took an improv course. And from there, my improv teacher, she was the one that kind of like birthed the idea of even being a performer for real, like as a full-time thing. And then she would pay me for it. She offered me to do like, and then I started running the after school program as a teacher, teaching theater to high schoolers and middle schoolers in the local school district. And from there, the love of that just kept the spiral. And then after I graduated college, I started working at a radio station, one of the radio stations in Detroit. And that show was called the Carman Show. And so from there, I was exposed to the life, if you will. I was being able to like be around like celebrities and all the events that was going on and happening. And it was a radio DJ that I was working with at the time. And she was like, yeah, Whitney Houston in town and she driving my car. I'm like, what? What do you mean Whitney Houston's in town? She's driving your car. What are you talking about? She was like, she's shooting a movie here in Detroit. And they called and saw my car where they were driving and doing like, I guess like neighborhood checks of potential shooting spots. And they was like, they saw my car and they asked to rent my car. So they were using my car for the movie. And I was like, well, how am I going to get in that? So my initial thing was me trying just to get on the movie set so I could meet Whitney Houston. Right. I wasn't doing it to like be in it, or I was just like, I just want to meet Whitney Houston. That's all I want to do. And then she gave me the email of the contact that, was scouting, and I sent them an email. And it was as quick and simple as that. I sent them an email, like, hey, I want to be a part of this, whatever capacity. And they was like, okay, sure. And they got me on, and I was on the movie set with Whitney Houston, Jordan Sparks, Derek Luke, Tamla Mann, Brayley Evans. Who else was? It was so many other people, and just got to spend 2 weeks filming. I was an extra, so I was filming, and that was really Tika Sumpter and Carmen. I can't remember Carmen's last name, but I spent 2 weeks like working with them close by, and got to meet Whitney Houston finally, because that was the goal. I was like, I'm going to meet Whitney Houston and I'm going to do it. And I remember vividly, they had told us like, and I'm not going to name the production people casting that casted because they were horrible. But if you look it up, you'll see who they were. But that was it was a bad experience because they were just rude and they were disrespectful. And, earlier on, like they just treated actors and actresses like whatever, like we're throwaway. But there was like, don't say nothing to the actors. Don't even look their way. Don't talk to somebody. If we catch you talking or see you doing it, you're going to get kicked off set, and then we'll go, and we'll replace you or whatever. And so I was scared because of my first like professional, situation. And then in walks Whitney Houston. She walks right past me and she says, "Good morning." And I turned around like, who are you talking to? And she's like, "I'm talking to you, baby. Good morning." And I was like, "Good morning, Miss Houston. Like, we was told not to talk to you, da da da." Like, I just went start rambling. She was like, don't listen to them. She's like, me and you gonna be, me and you be cool. We'd be all right. And from there, I just spent so much time learning, and I got so much experience. But that's what kind of birthed, me wanting to do it for a career, because then I got my first professional check from there. I was working long hours, and them long hours paid off. And I was like, oh, I can do this. And then from there, that's when I decided that I wanted to pursue it full time. So I spent my afternoons, when I was working on the school, I was spending my afternoons and my mornings searching online for auditions. And then I came across in the newspaper, randomly, the newspapers, the classifieds. It was an audition. It was a small little print about Motown the musical, and they were accepting auditions. And they were like, hey, if you want to be a part of this, send an email and your resume to this email. And I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And at the time, I thought it was just a Detroit production, because at the time I was doing another musical called The Wiz of Motown. And so I was like, all right, whatever. And I went in and auditioned and sang. And then probably a week later, they sent me another audition. I did that, came back. Third audition was at the Motown Museum. So I was like, all right, I'm still not thinking that it's a Broadway show. And went in, auditioned, and then it was like, hey, can you fly to New York? I'm like, yeah, but why am I flying to New York for a Detroit show? But whatever. Flew to New York, auditioned, and then I flew back to Detroit the next day. And I feel like that was my very first audition experience, where I had to dance and do all the things, and I came underprepared. I was in a hoodie. I was in some Jabot jeans that was like 5 sizes too big.
Not jeans. Oh my God.
I was in some Timberlands. Like, I had came like super Detroit, super hood in this New York audition.
Oh man.
And here's the sad part. They told me, they were like, oh, you're gonna be moving during the audition. I didn't know what the proper terminology was for that. I'm like, all right, moving, whatever. Okay. I'm the only one in this audition room fully dressed. Everybody else in, leggings and tank top. Yeah, it was just crazy. I was the most
Broadway.
I promise. I wish they recorded it, because if you saw my initial audition, then they took me
visual
back.
in my head is funny as it is. So
listen, just imagine the Jawan back in the day when I first moved out to New York. I was 5X, everything oversized, layered down, and in this audition, dancing, hot, sweaty.
It's so funny.
Never dancing, because I always told them, I was like, I club dance. I don't do choreography or anything.
So did they teach you choreography and was like, okay, now go do that?
Yeah, so they taught during a rehearsal, audition process, the choreographer or whoever is the auditioner, they teach you the combination, and then you just repeat it. And then you spend 20 minutes working on it. They spend 20 minutes teaching it, and then you do it, and then do it in front of casting. And they, thank you. All right, these people stay, go, whatever.
Sheesh.
And so it was similar to that. And so they took me in. I bombed it, of course, because I had never done it, but they could see there's something there. So let's work with him. So the choreographer took me for an hour and worked with me in another room, and then put me back to the panel. And then he was like, he can catch on. I can work with him. I can do this. And from there, the next day I got home and found out I booked it, and then had to move to New York less than 3 weeks later. And
what was that moment like, though, when you got the call and they're like, you got the part?
I hung up on them because I didn't believe them. Just like, hey, this is such and such calling from Motown the Musical. We want to offer you the part of Melvin Franklin. I was like, stop playing on my phone. Because what happened was, I was on the line, the other line with another friend, and I was telling him, I was like, he was asking me how the audition process went. I was like, I don't think I got it. I bombed. I was like, I came unprepared. I was in these clothes. I was hot. I'm like, I just don't think I got it. And then he was like, the line rings, and I answer it, and then I click. When I hang up, I was like, stop playing on my phone, because I thought it was him setting me up, And then when I clicked back over, I was like, stop playing. I just told you I didn't get it, and I didn't think I was, and you making me feel bad. He was like, no, bro, that wasn't me. Call them back. And I called them back, and then, they told me the layout of, I got to move to New York. I got to do these things. And I was like, well, what's the pay like? They was like, okay, you're going to get this amount. I'm like, living in New York every 2 weeks, I can make it work. Because, Detroit, we used to every 2 weeks you getting paid.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't used to have weekly check yet.
Yeah.
That wasn't my life. That wasn't my ministry. And so I was like, every 2 weeks, all right, it's gonna be tight to make that work, but I'm gonna make it work. So then I'm like I'm going over the verbal details to him on the phone. So I was like, I'm gonna be making this every 2 weeks. And he was like, no, 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 no. You're gonna make that every week. And then that's when I lost it.
Oh
That's when
my
I lost
God.
it. Because to that point, for me, I was like, that's the most money I've ever made. Oh, I'm in it.
Packing right now.
I was like, come on, bro. That's when I really got hyped.
I'll buy clothes when I get there. I'm on my way.
Exactly. I'll walk. It's fine. When you need me.
You need to take them jeans anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, so funny. I just threw those jeans away probably a couple months ago. I held on to them the whole time because I was like,
oh my God.
These pants got me to New York.
Yes, they did.
You know what I'm saying? These Jabot jeans that y'all was talking about, oversized, they got me to New York.
I can't,
which is so funny.
Phone call because people work so hard,
Yeah.
Artists, actors, just the whole community of wonderful creative people work so hard. And I love to hear about when the phone call comes, that one phone call changes everything.
Changed my complete life. And then like after that, it was like I got that call a week before Christmas. So I auditioned, I'll never forget, 12/12/12.
Wow.
That was my audition date. So I already knew it was something in that date. That was like magical and special. And so I was just like, I'm just gonna lean into this. And I never once, except for the very end, but leading up to the audition, something told me in my spirit, convicted me. It was like, don't count yourself out. You know what I'm saying? Like something told me, it was like, say you want this, claim it, say you want it, and it's gonna be yours. And so that's what I was doing, except for that very end, to that very end, because I like psyched myself out because I felt like I did such a horrible job. But then the director called me, and this is gonna be TMI. I was on the toilet, and he called me, the number from New York, and I answered the phone, and he says, "Merry Christmas. This is your Christmas present." And I was just like, again, I started tripping out all over again. Like,
yeah,
it was, and so then I moved to New York, January, and been here ever since, like humping.
So I've never been to New York. So, which is crazy. I don't even know how that has happened, but I'm sure that
you can't do that as a singer, not being in New York yet.
I was just having a conversation about that this morning. Like, I am still, well, not still, because I've been other places, but I'm like, there's certain places that I feel like a pull to sing in, because I watched Robert Glasper's at the Blue Note for no reason on Wednesday. I want to be in like that kind of environment. Going from the Midwest to that, you were here like your whole life, hopping on a plane. Not only are you embarking on this huge journey to be on Broadway, because what, a little Black kid from Detroit, what?
Exactly.
Broadway, and that happened for you. So that is an incredible story, and I hope encouraging to those of you at home who are watching this, that the phone call will come. You just gotta
the phone call will come, but the most important thing is you got to do the work.
Yeah,
because nobody's gonna work for you. And the one thing about what my journey was that I wanted it, and so I was making sure I was like sacrificing. I was taking the classes, I was doing the things, I was doing all of it to prepare myself for the opportunity when it came. And so the phone call will come, but you got to put the work in. It's not gonna come by none. You got to continue to work. You got to continue to meet people, do the thing, like research, learn, never stop learning. I'm still learning to this day. There are a lot of things that I still do not know.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been in this industry, doing it at the level that I've been doing it. And I'm still trying. There are still things I'm like, oh, I don't know that. Let me figure out what this is.
This conversation that we're having, like, you don't even know how, like, I have goosebumps. I posted a status this morning about how I have been an artist for 11 years, but I'm still learning, and I'm still a sponge, and I'm still willing to learn, and how you have to learn, and like literally everything you just said, I typed this morning. So even going back to when you said, you looked in the paper and you saw the opportunity there to audition for that, and it was random, and it wasn't. It was not random at all. That was like, you're supposed to read that paper at that specific time, and God set that up. And even me talking to you, I was excited coming in here because, hey, I've known you for like ever. Yeah. But for you to say things and to just repeat conversations that I had this morning with someone and just with myself, and you not knowing that, it just confirms all of that for me, that God is he's everywhere. And
he's everywhere.
Random, the timing is not at all.
And one thing I also found out about God is, and I ain't trying to be churchy, but like one thing I found out about God is like, he has a sense of humor. So like every time that I finish something, I always like do my affirmations of what I want to do for the following year. And like, even with this opportunity, me joining the Temptations as a official member, what I said, what I wanted to do, I said I said, I want to sing background for some major artist somewhere and then just travel all over. That's what I said I wanted. I was like, God was like, ha, ha, ha. All right, cool. I got something for you. Boom. And so now what that taught me is to be very specific and to dream big, and nothing's too small, because I was thinking small and God was like, no, I see more for you and I got more for you. Don't dream to be a background singer. And Brandy told me the same thing years ago because I was trying to be a background singer for her. I was like, let me be a background. She's like, baby, don't dream to be a background singer. Dream big, go all the way.
That's the same thing that happened to Luther. I forgot who it was he was trying to sing with, and they were like, you are not a background singer. You are going to be the Luther Vandross. Like, no. And look, it's the same similar thing that happened to you. And all I know is 1 minute you were like, you did that interview on February 1st, because I went back and just talking about COVID and how it affected everything. And then you were like really emotional about, providing for this baby that you have on the way. Fast forward, like, okay, the baby's here. Fast forward 2 more months, you're a Temptation. Like, what?
Never saw it coming. Never saw it coming. I went from like on the biggest Broadway show in history, my second leading Broadway show, leading as a principal. And it was the best selling that month prior before we closed. We were the best selling show on Broadway. We were breaking box office like records. And then the next thing you know, they're like, okay, we're closing. So it was kind of like my legs was like swept from under me. And so I was nervous. I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous. I was like, I got a baby on the way. Like this gig, I thought it was gonna be at least long term, and I can leave what I want to leave. You know what I'm saying? Because it's being on Broadway, like you all like artists, they look for shows that will have longevity. And I felt like, and I thought that was one of those shows that could have longevity because it was so relatable and it was just easy. You know what I'm saying? It was like the Temptations, Motown, like that is gonna pack houses in the rain, sleet, or snow. And it was just like white fell under us. And so I was like, I don't know what's about to happen. I was legit nervous.
The God knew exactly where this story was headed. Like how I was like, okay, he's on Broadway. This is amazing. Exciting. And then whiplash. Like, oh my God, a baby. Oh, what?
And even that phone call asking me to join the Temptations was crazy as well. I was like, I was at the gym, and then just a random.
Did you audition for that, or they were like just paying attention?
No. So Otis, he would come to the show often. He would come, he loved the show. And so we would see him every so often. And I moved to LA the summer prior because I spent the 1 year in the pandemic in New York. And then the next summer I was like, I'm not working still. I need to change the scenery. So I'm going to go out to LA for a few months, just try it out, see how I like it. And then when I moved out there, he and I just got really extremely close. It was just like
that's beautiful.
Uncle, like nephew. And then show opened back up. So from our relationship, we were just like that we cultivated was like, when they lost their base that they had, their managers, our manager, Shelly Berger, he was like, what about Jawan? And he was like, well, if Jawan have us, like, I know Jawan's an actor. I know he's like up and like, he's like popping right now. So like, if he wants to come, I would love to have him. But if he can't, I don't want to stop him. And so when the tour manager, Derek Porter, he called and was like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, the same thing everybody else doing, trying to find a job. What's up?
Right. What you got?
He was like, well, what do you think about coming on the road? I said, for what? He was like, as a temptation. I said, as a temptation, what?
As a what?
Like as a the help, as the one that like, what are you talking about? He was like, no, as an actual temptation. We lost the base and we need a base. And Otis doesn't want to learn anybody new. He was like, he's getting older in age. And so trying to cultivate relationships with somebody random and when the middle of the tour, it's going to be real, real hard for him. So, you and him are close. He loves you. Like he's the father of my God, the godfather of my son.
Oh,
And so like, I was like, absolutely, absolutely. That's done. I was like,
yeah.
if y'all have me. And then, I flew out, they flew me out to Seattle that next month. And I've been there and I had literally had to learn the show. There was like, I watched the show for a night and then the second night, because they couldn't hit any of the like bass notes, like they were like some of the other group members were trying to hit it. They was like struggle busting on the side. And they was like, well, Jawan here. So what we gonna do is you being shot out of a cannon. I'm gonna listen to the show tonight, and then tomorrow you gonna sing off stage. So I was singing off stage their arrangements. And I was like, I had to literally go in my hotel room, stay up all night and listen to, their arrangements and the show version in order to learn the show. And I started singing the show before I was actually in it. So people was hearing me, but not seeing me. And then at the end of the night, they will bring me out. Like, this is the newest member. I know y'all see 4 of us, but there's actually 5. He's learning. Welcome, Jawan Jackson. And then I went from the side of the stage and they started bringing me on stage singing like I was background, just filling in. And then I got my suits and I've been off the ground running.
It has been so amazing watching, and you're like on top of like historic buildings, just like Eddie Murphy out here.
It's crazy.
And I am thoroughly enjoying all of it. I want to do this thing because I want to make sure I get it in. It's called 30 Seconds of Joy.
Okay.
You think of something that makes you incredibly happy.
Okay.
I think I have an idea what you're going to say. It can be anything though, like something silly, something serious. And for 30 seconds, you just gush about your thing.
Okay.
Do you have your thing?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to introduce it and then I'm going to start the timer. Okay. So we're here on the Soul Dope Show for another 30 seconds of joy with our temptation, Jawan M. Jackson. And he has his thing and we're going to do his 30 seconds starting now.
Oh, my 30 seconds of joy is self-care. I love to love on myself. Massages, pedicures, manicures, spa treatments. I love to just go. I love to be quiet and sit in the space, be at home by myself. I can turn all the lights and the blinds off and I can be okay. Self-meditation. And I think it resets my spirit. It resets my joy. It resets my soul. And I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
Usually I have my phone up being real dramatic, but I don't know where I put that, because if you don't know, little behind the scenes information, my start of this interview was chaotic. Crazy. Okay, so I don't know where my phone is, but here we are.
Because we in the ghetto together right
now. Like
ghetto club.
With the we pull together. We are in the ghetto of new parents, we got new people in our house that we are learning or whatever, in addition to learning ourselves. I think, I do like to ask another fun question.
Okay.
My dinner party question. So if you could have a dinner party with 5 artists, dead or alive, anybody, to just pick their brains and talk and et cetera, who would you invite to your dinner party?
Brandy, Michael Jackson, Prince, Luther, and Steve Jobs.
That is a very interesting dinner party. Yeah. And of course, Mr. Otis, that's a bonus. He to come there too.
He my +1.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to at some point, once we get into the new year, maybe catch up again, because we really could have it kept going forever.
This could have been 2-part. This need to be a 2-part.
This is part 1. He said it.
Exactly.
So we'll get part 2 come, maybe next year we'll check in. Definitely at some point.
Absolutely.
Because I want to
hear some good stuff coming up next year.
Yeah.
So I got my EP coming out. I got all the things. So yes.
You got an EP?
Yeah, I'm working on it
It's
right
about to
now.
cut off. Okay, we will catch up again. Thank you so much. And I'll be
I
in
love you.
I love you too. To the So Dope Show.